Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is FaZe. Last week I did a video on the Nook Glowlight 4 by Barnes & Noble. Now in the comments I received a lot of questions asking for more details. And those are details that I saved purposely for this video, where I'm going to be comparing the Glowlight 4 with the new Kindle Paperwhite by Amazon. Now at the end of the day, both of these are great premium e-readers. But by the end of this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on which one I prefer and which one I like most. So without any further ado, let's start comparing the two. First things first, I want to bring up the weight. So here's the thing. Both are very light. The Glowlight 4 is definitely lighter, but that's because it's also a smaller device. Both feel equally nice holding with one hand and are comfortable. However, I will add that those who like extreme portability and don't mind sacrificing screen size for that portability, then you will love the size of the Glowlight 4. But now that I've talked about the size and the weight, let me discuss perhaps the most important thing, which is the display. The Paperwhite has a 6.8-inch display and has a resolution of 1236 by 1648 and 300 pixels per inch. The screen is completely flush with the bezel and protected by a layer of glass. The Glowlight 4, on the other hand, has a smaller 6-inch display with a resolution of 1072 by 1404 and also has 300 pixels per inch. Unlike the Paperwhite, the screen is not flush with the bezel and instead has a sunken screen. There is an all-new screen protector installed on the factory level, which helps protect the plastic e-paper display. Though the Kindle Paperwhite looks cleaner with the flushed-in display, the Nook's sunken screen is a better approach as it absorbs light and does not reflect it like glass-based screens. That does not mean the Paperwhite brings in a lot of glare, it just means that there is slightly less glare on the Glowlight 4. To be very honest, this is not something a lot of people will notice. Now, when it comes to the quality of the display, they both may have 300 pixels per inch, but the text is just a tad bit crisper on the Glowlight 4, and that is because since the display is smaller, it packs in more pixels in a smaller footprint. But once again, you're not going to notice it, especially on a day-to-day basis. So I will say that both displays are equally good for their size. I, however, much rather prefer the screen size of the Paperwhite. In fact, I love it. When I compare it to the Glowlight 4, the Glowlight just seems tiny. In this day and age, 6-inch screens just feel very small, and the Paperwhite size is much closer to that of a normal book, and you fit more text per page. Both devices also have a series of white and amber LED lights, so you can control the color temperature. On the Nook, the front lid display can only be tuned to automatically turn on at specific time of day. It does not have an ambient light sensor, so it instead relies on the time of day. The same goes for the base Paperwhite, but if you get the Signature Edition, it does come with an ambient sensor, which will detect your environment and adjust the light accordingly. That is one feature that I really enjoy, but of course, you only get that if you pay a little more. Now, comparing the two side by side, the Kindle Paperwhite, in my opinion, looks much more modern and up to date with its design. The bezels have been slimmed on each side and the top of the device, whereas the Nook just looks small, clunky, and very plasticky. Now, I get a lot of people asking me if the slimmer bezel is an issue when it comes to holding the Kindle with one hand and if it brings in accidental screen touches. My answer is, it is not an issue at all. You can easily rest your finger on the bezel, but even if it rests on the screen, the Kindle detects it and doesn't react. It is only when you tap the screen itself when it counts as an actual tap. The slimmer bezels are not an issue, and if anything, I prefer it over thicker bezels. It allows for larger displays to show more content, yet not making the device so large. Now, the Nook does have something on the bezel, and those are page-turning buttons. And they're not just on one side of the display, they're on both sides of the display. What does annoy me is how loud the clickiness is. And I must say, I wish companies would lower the button placement because it's not comfortable reaching the buttons all the time. Sometimes it is quicker to just tap the screen like I do on my Paperwhite. Also, the one thing I dislike about both the Nook and the Kindle is the back. They're prone to scratches and smudges and just does not look good over time, But once again, that's just me nitpicking here. Now I'm going to talk about the most important thing, and that is the overall reading experience. Now, both get the job of reading done very well, but I must say I find the performance of the Paperwhite slightly better. It's much more fluid and I don't experience lag at all. With the Glowlight, I do occasionally notice lag here and there, and it's definitely a little slower. Page turns are fine, but sometimes it will randomly refresh the screen, which does get annoying. Also, and I don't think this is a big deal for an e-reader, but the Paperwhite has a web browser while the Nook does not. Once again, this isn't a big deal, but I did get quite a few questions asking me if they had a web browser. The Nook Glowlight 4 comes with 32 gigabytes of storage and is priced at $149.99. The Paperwhite comes with 8 gigabytes of storage and is priced at $139.99. The Paperwhite also has a Signature Edition, which is priced at $189.99, and it comes with 32 gigabytes of storage, along with additional features such as wireless charging and the ambient light sensor. One thing to note is both the Paperwhite versions are water resistant, while the Glowlight 4 is not. Alright, so what's the verdict? Well, if I had to choose between the Nook Glowlight 4 and the Kindle Paperwhite, the newest one that is, I will definitely go with the Kindle Paperwhite. And the reason for that is, well, there's a few reasons. One, I really like the larger screen. Like I said, I am someone who prefers larger screens because you get to view more content, you get more text on a display. What Amazon has done is that they've shrunk the bezels. So you're not getting a much larger Kindle Paperwhite than the previous version, but you are getting a significantly larger screen, especially when you compare it to the Nook Glowlight 4. The Nook Glowlight 4, in my opinion, just looks tiny. You know, it was fine a few years back, but now everything is getting larger. Even our phones are larger. But when it comes to reading books, this is closer to the size of a paperback than the Nook Glowlight 4. Having said that, if you enjoy portability and you love the page turning buttons, then the Glowlight 4 may be the device for you. But ultimately, I like Amazon's ecosystem, and I really like the deals that they're always coming out with for ebooks. So at the end of the day, it's $10 cheaper than the Nook Glowlight 4, and yet you get a significantly larger display, and you get to be part of the ecosystem where you're getting tons of deals left and right for Amazon's books. But long story short, what's very important for me is what are your thoughts? Do you have any questions? Whatever it is, comment below, let me know. Until then, I'll see you next time.